Hello everybody, Radish here. I know that you're used to my very professional looking setup, but today I just don't have time for that. So what's happening? Well, besides the fact that today is a Friday and I still have to finish a task that I'm working on, which is, well, let's just say that I still have some errors and I still have to investigate those. It's really busy because tomorrow I'm going on a trip. I'll be visiting the offices of the company that I'm working with for the first time ever, and I want to bring you guys with me. So that means carrying a lot of extra stuff, and my baggage is still not complete. Actually, I didn't even start it. I also have to bring 3 laptops with me because of reasons, and I also have to bring a lot of gear that I use for filming. So my main light, the 2 tripods that I mount my camera and the light on, the stabilizer, and my new action camera. I didn't show you the action camera, right? No. Let's jump straight to the unboxing, and I don't know what I'll do after that. Okay, bye. So what do you guys think about this way of filming? Because I mounted the camera right here and I can now show you exactly what I'm working on. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Let me know. Yeah, this is basically my setup. So I've got one of my laptops right over there that I use as a screen, so as a monitor. And I've got 2 monitors here. This one is connected to that laptop, and I have another laptop right here that's connected to that monitor. And I don't really use that monitor all that much. I've got my trusty friend here. This is actually what writes the code. Okay, so what am I struggling with? Well, I can't really go into a lot of detail, but I basically had to do a database migration. If you're not familiar with what that means, during the development of a software product, you need to be able to update your database to support your needs, and you do that by writing a database migration. So guys, what do you think of this place? Because I freaking love it. I tried to set up my basic little studio here because I wanted to talk about something that I noticed happening a lot. And that is a lot of people, developers included, even though they work with a lot of pretty complex technologies, they lack a lot of knowledge about how the basic stuff works. And stuff like the internet and how does it work and what happens when you send a request to some web page. A lot of people don't really care about it, and I think it's like a really important thing to know. It's basically the starting point to everything web development. How can you understand concepts like load balancing or caching or whatever if you don't really understand like the basics of everything, and that is the internet. How does it work? Yeah, I'll try to explain it as best as I can, but before we learn what the internet is, we kind of need to take a step back and understand what a network is. So a network is just a group of computers or devices, whether it's your toaster, your coffee machine, your fridge, whatever, which are connected to each other. For example, you at home might have a network of computers and devices. Your friend will have the same kind of network. Your neighbor will have a similar network of devices. All these networks connected basically form the internet. And funny stuff, the internet was actually created by the United States Department of Defense in the 60s. It was supposed to be a decentralized communication network that would still work in case of something really bad happening, like a nuclear attack or something like that. So the internet is a lot of networks interconnected. So it's basically like a huge mesh of devices. Cool. So in order to dig a little bit deeper, let's say that we go to our browser, we type in google.com and we hit enter. What happens next? So google.com means nothing for your browser, and it actually needs something called an IP address. And an IP address is just a unique identifier that is assigned to every device on a network, just so you can communicate with that device and uniquely identify it. So your browser naturally needs to find out what IP address is associated with the domain name google.com. And that's called the DNS lookup. DNS stands for Domain Name System, and you can think about it like a huge phone book where every domain name that exists has an associated IP address. This DNS request is handled by a DNS server, and this can be operated by your internet service provider or a third-party DNS provider. So the DNS server just looks up the IP address for google.com and returns it to your browser. Okay, now we're talking. We've got the IP address. So with the IP address in hand, your browser actually sends an HTTP request to the server hosting the Google website, asking for the web page located at that address. Now the next part is pretty complicated, and I'm not gonna really dig into it, but just know that that package, that HTTP package, is actually split up into multiple little packets, and using one of multiple types of routing algorithms, all of those packets need to go to Google, and Google will actually rebuild the initial request and process it. After it's done processing it, it will send you an HTTP response back that will contain your web page, status codes, your cookies, and a lot of other stuff. After your browser receives the response back, it starts rendering the web page. So it interprets the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code to display the web page as intended. But web pages are pretty complex. They usually have a lot more resources like images, style sheets, or scripts that are hosted on entirely different servers or domains. So what happens with those? Well, your browser sends an individual HTTP request for every resource that is needed. So the whole cycle starts over. And once all the resources are retrieved, your browser will then show you the full web page with all the text, images, and interactivity that the web page has to offer. Now you can interact with the web page, so you can click on links, click on buttons, submit forms, whatever. Each interaction may trigger additional HTTP requests. So that's basically it. As you can see, you can quickly get really complicated for a browser, and a lot of stuff is happening and you don't even realize it. And trust me, I've just scratched the surface here.